I want to ask you a little bit about doing stand up. You was doing something at the Laugh Factory. You got to connect with Damon Wayans in the boot camp. If you could just talk about that, what was that? Was that your first experience doing stand up? How did it make you feel, and what was it like connecting with a great comedian like that?
That was amazing. So that was another thing. Like I can't even tell you where my mom was finding these things, but she found that Laugh Factory had a comedy boot camp. Damon Wayans was running it that year. I don't know how many years he did, but I know that year he was doing it. Jay Moore, Dave Chappelle were all mentors. There were other comedians that came through, but those are the main ones that I remember. And obviously, we all know who the Wayans are. So I already knew who Damon Wayans was because, like I said, all that was a children's version of I just said SNL, but also in living color. You know, so I already knew who he was. So it was already an honor to like have him as a mentor. The crazy thing is with having Dave Chappelle and Jay Moore, I don't even think the Dave Chappelle show was on yet. So you're not even realizing how iconic this is to even be mentored by Dave Chappelle too. So, we just know that they're in the game, but just to be able to like get this knowledge and all these gems and to be at the Laugh Factory on top of it. I think I did it for like about a month. I think that's how long the camp went. And then once you graduated, you got to perform. It was our first paid live performance. You got to perform at the Laugh Factory, and I remember Entertainment Tonight covered it. The news covered it. It was a great experience. That was my first time being on a stand-up stage, and I kept on doing it from that day forth. It was amazing, And I even got to meet. I even got to meet Richard Pryor, which I thought was pretty awesome. That was actually the highlight of one of my nights. But that was the era when we didn't have the camera cell phones. The flip phones were just coming out, and I remember I had that we were still using the cameras, and literally the battery in my camera died. He was going to take a picture with me, and it died. I was so upset, but he gave me some great advice, and just to be able to say that I met, Richard Pryor was pretty awesome at the Laugh Factory.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. That's like the goat, man. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Just to even meet him, I wish you had that picture, but you got to meet him. He gave you some
yeah,
advice, and you met him at the comedy spot. So,
yeah,
what more can you ask for?
exactly.
That's phenomenal. Those are some giants you mentioned. Oh, and big shout out to your mom because obviously she put a lot of effort into at least putting you in a position to have an opportunity to do certain things. A lot of people, parents don't do that, and some parents do. They, they do the best they can, and sometimes we don't understand it at that time. You like, my mom tripping, but then you get
Yeah,
older, and you're like, I'm glad she signed me up for that, or get exposed me to this or that. So big shout out to your mom.
yeah. I tell a lot of people, like, because a lot of people ask me about like the history of my mom, and you just said something that now being older, um, is a lot of things that I may not agree with, but like you said, some people try to do the best they can. And also, I tell people you also got to think about the era that people grew up in. You know what I'm saying? So my mom's from like the era of the 40s and the 50s, and you got to think about how rearing was back then. And not saying that anything is okay, but what they're used to. A lot of times, family generations we pass down trauma. You feel me? So, and sometimes you may not even realize it's trauma. You're just mimicking what was done to you, not even registering what it is, whether it's right or it's wrong. So I will say my mom had a lot of good intents, even if and good intention as well, as far as where she intended for things to go a certain way, but because she didn't know any better, you know what I'm saying, like you can only do what you know. It may not have always gone that way. And once you get older, I think it takes a very mature person to have that outlook. A healed person, because a lot of people aren't healed. You just keep on bleeding and bleeding on your kids, relationships and generations, and it's a generational curse. Keep on just spreading it. So I will definitely give her a props, because even with all that, even though it had its ups and its downs, you guys wouldn't even know me if it wasn't for her. Because if it wasn't for her putting me in the talent show, I wouldn't have got discovered. If it wasn't for her putting me in the training and putting me in the theater, I wouldn't be saying theater is my first love. I wouldn't know anything about theater. You know, there wouldn't have been for me to compete because the singing, she was putting me in singing recitals, she was putting me in dance recitals, pretty much everything that I know now, even down to the stand up. I have to give props to my mom. It's because of her. It wasn't me, because I was in this industry at 9 months old. There's no telling what I would be doing right now if it was left up to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's you said a lot. I mean, because most people don't think about it like that. Like your parents was your age at one time. Like my mom, she always like to use this line: "Y'all ain't never got a whooping. You don't know what a whooping is." She would whoop us, but she
Right.
grew up in an era where like they really got beat up for if they did something wrong. Where
That's what
they
I'm
go
saying.
get the switch off the tree, or they'll go go get this or get this or that. So, I understand it as I get older. And, we try to laugh about it now. It wasn't funny
Yeah.
then when you got in trouble, but you grow if you live long enough, and then you really gonna get tested when you have yours, and they gonna hit you with the same thing, like you tripping or why you ain't do this. They gonna criticize you or critique you in some ways as well, but somebody got to break the cycle. So you try
Yeah.
to unlock one chain at a time. So you know
Yeah.
how that goes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see. I mean, I got so much to ask you. We about 5 minutes in, but let me see. I wanted to talk. Now you was on. Now this one I remember. I didn't know this was you, but I remember your scene in the movie. 35 and ticking. What was it like doing that part? It was funny. I love that scene. And it was so many stars in that movie. If you could just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it was crazy how I got that. I remember when I, got the submission or whatever. It was actually to do. It was to do a featured background. Due to a lot of the politics that a lot of people are aware. I'm pretty sure you did your research. You already know about the whole, Nickelodeon and all that. We ain't got to get into that. But because of not being able to work certain projects and work as freely as I would like to work, um, I, have my ways of getting into certain things and going around. It's like, okay, you don't want to let me in the front door. Well, then I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go to the side window. I'm gonna dig a hole and go under. I'm gonna find a way. So I ended up, that role was actually supposed to be a featured background. And I didn't even think anybody was really gonna see it. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't even know how big that movie was at the time. Um, I remember when I got it, it was crazy. Wow, yeah. I remember when I got it, I went to the table read. That's when I found out all of the stars that were in it. Because now, they have the names on the table. So I'm sitting down and I look up and I see Mike App's name. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, mind you, I don't know who's in the movie. So being doing stand up, I'm like, I love Mike Epps. Like, I think he's hilarious. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, Mike Epps is in this movie. So now I'm reading the names: Linnell, Kevin Hart, one of my peers, Megan Good. Like we hung out, grew up together, all that. So I'm like, I'm not even we didn't even know we were in this movie together. It was crazy. It was Nicole Reed, like all of these people, Tamla. It was just like, yo, this is what I'm in. And and Clifton Powell. Oh my God. So Clifton, so we do the scene, we do the table read. It was amazing. Boom. I'm calling everybody. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm in a movie with Mike Epps and Kevin Hart. Like, this is awesome. When we make it to set, I'm in the scene with Nicole Reed and obviously Clifton Powell. Once again, I'm still not even thinking like anyone's really gonna see my character. And I'm done with my scene. It's a couple of lines literally. And Clifton Powell stops me. He's like, you know what? I admire your work. You're doing a great job. I'm like, oh my God. Like he's Clifton Powell. So I still have my moments like when you guys like you see me and you're like, oh, that's the girl from all that, thank you, whatever. And you guys give me my flowers. I still have moments where I fan out where I'm just like, oh, like this is Clifton Powell, like this is Mike Apps. This is like, I still have those moments. So it was just a great experience. And then, like I said, I didn't really expect anybody to really see the movie. I think I was somewhere and somebody walked up to me and said my line. And I was just like, oh snap, you guys have seen that movie? And I started getting DMs. I started having fans who were like, oh my God, we saw you in 35 and tickets. So it was pretty awesome to like be recognized from it, especially in something that I didn't think anybody was really going to see. And like I had a couple lines.
Yeah, but that's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to say a lot all the time. That was definitely one of the highlights of the movie. It was funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was right to the point. Um, Let me see. Okay, we're about 30 minutes in. So if the viewers, if they want to follow what you're doing, if you got any up and coming projects, anything you want to put out there, if you got a website or social media or
Okay. Well, you can follow me on my social medias. I'm on Instagram. I have a Twitter/X. I'm not really on. I just deleted my account and brought it back, but I'm more on Instagram. You can hit me on Facebook. I do have a website, angeliquebates.com. You can check out my updates there. I'm still doing stand up. I actually just finished performing this past weekend. That was pretty awesome. So, I have more shows lined up. I'll be posting that on my Instagram and on my website. And pretty much that's where you can check out anything. I have a couple singles out right now, so you can always hit up that Apple Music and type in Angelique Bates and pull up some of the songs that I have. And I'm still in the studio trying to push out this album. Sometimes I have this idea, and then I'm like, and then I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this one. So until I figure it out, I'm gonna just keep on dropping out singles.
Oh, okay, wow, that's real cool. I definitely look forward to that. I mean, you got a lot of talent, and it's like the way technology is now. You got people making movies off cell phones and making mixtapes off cell phones. It's digital, so you got the world in your palms. And like you said, if you could drop a single every month or every week till you figure it out, because now they got streaming. It ain't like back in the day. You got to take it to the radio. You got to get it pressed up. You got to do this and this, and you already then been through the industry, you already got the skill, you seasoned, you know what to do. So I look forward to that for sure, for sure.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an honor. I want to thank the viewers for tuning in. It's been a great episode of Taye Speaks. So until next time, family. Peace.
Peace.